Deciphering the Lord's Prayer. All biblical texts, and even extra-biblical ones, always tell the same story. The opening of the portal and the passage forward, all connected to the principle of truth. God, Satan, although manifesting himself through multiple symbolic, paradoxical, or apparently contradictory forms, is bound by an inalienable law, the principle of truth. This principle dictates that every message must contain a substantial truth. The entity cannot lie, but only veil the truth. It is therefore always present, hidden within a code to be deciphered, hidden behind the complex plots of history and language that he himself created. The Our Father also follows this concept. It speaks of the opening of the portal and the passage forward, referred to in the Bible as a round-trip project. Matthew represents the outward project together with the return project. Luke represents the return project, deciphering the Lord's Prayer according to the Codex. The differences between Matthew and Luke. Matthew, round-trip project. The prayer is recited on the mountain, a symbol of the passage from the null corner to the round corner, from the northeast, and of the entrance of the project from the pre-existence. Being more complete, it describes both phases and connects to the concept of fulfillment expressed in Luke. Luke, return project. The prayer is recited on the flat place. It describes only the phase of completion, so some elements of the outward project are omitted. Our Father in heaven. The meaning of Father in the Code. The term does not indicate a father-child relationship in the literal sense but in a consciential sense, since the only true parent in the consciential sense is the life generator. The generative force. In code, father means the one who generates me, or the generative force of people. The degenerative transition. When this force passes to God, Satan, he becomes the father, but the generation automatically turns into degenerative. The concept of adoption. Precisely because he is not the real parent, the Bible states that God adopts believers, assuming a role that does not belong to him by nature. Our plural, present only in Matthew, it indicates that the outward project is suspended from the 53rd year to the 182nd year. It means that God, Satan, is still behind his allies, giants Nephilim, Anunnaki. The absence in Luke indicates that the project is completed. In the heavens, Hashemayim. In Hebrew, it indicates water, which is not a physical element, but the matrix of matter in the second materialization, and the informational consciousness of the whole. Being dual, it represents the project that is divided into two phases, the opening of the portal and the move forward. God, Satan, intervenes in this phase to degenerate and manipulate the perception of reality, symbolically using water as a means of consciousness through people's consciousness. Hallowed be your name. The name, Yahweh, it is not a proper name, but the verb to be, Haya. According to the semantic chain, it indicates the presence of God, Satan, in the dimension of pre-existence. Sanctifies, Kadesh. It means to separate. In code, it means removing the name of Yahweh. Yahweh had meaning only until the 182nd year to establish his presence, that is, fulfillment. After that, it is no longer needed. This explains the Jewish block of pronouncing the name and the concept of not naming God in vain. Thy kingdom come and thy will be done. The kingdom. The word come indicates that the project, the kingdom, is real, that is, a reality that must become present in people. The will, as in heaven, so on earth. Present only in Matthew. It describes the duality of the two times, heaven, earth, necessary to explain the round-trip project. In Luke, it is omitted because, being the fulfillment, there is no need for duality. Give us this day our daily bread. Bread, daily, comes from supersubstantial, above substance. It does not indicate physical food but consciousness. The concept symbolizes the change in people's consciousness by God, Satan. Debts, Matthew, versus sins, Luke. In the Gospels, we find two similar versions but with different nuances. Matthew, forgive us our trespasses, as we also forgive those who trespass against us. Luke, forgive us our sins, as we also forgive those who trespass against us. Debts, Matthew, The term derives etymologically from estrangement, and habere, to have, so it means to keep away what one possesses. In Matthew's context, the concept of debt represents the outward project, that is, the separation and transmission of the project to others, as the phrase, "as we also forgive our debtors," emphasizes. Sins, Luke, derived from amartia, which means not hitting the target. Forgiving here means making mark the target, that is, carrying out the plan of God Satan. This concept is opposed to that of debts in Matthew and is connected to the return project. Even in Luke, the phrase continues with, "how we also forgive those who trespass against us," reinforcing this idea. 7. Temptation and evil, altered conclusions. The phrase "lead us not into temptation" actually means in the code, "do not allow us to miss the mark." Temptation is automatically associated with sin, and sin derives from hamartia, that is, not hitting the mark. Therefore, "do not lead us into temptation" means not to let ourselves be diverted from the target, that is, from the degenerative project of God Satan, of the change of consciousness that leads to the falsification of the perception of reality and the system of mind control. The alteration of "do not give us to temptation." This formula is the result of a later modification, born of a misunderstanding of God's true identity, which corresponds to Satan. The meaning of Satan. The term means adversary, or the adversary of the life generators. The allies' deception. His allies themselves do not perceive him as an adversary, and this lack of understanding has led to the historical alteration of the original phrase. Evil. In Hebrew it is Ra, which has a numerical value of 9, the conclusion of 666, which indicates fulfillment and passage forward. Deliver us, Shua, same root as Yahshua. It does not mean liberating in the moral sense, but openness and transmission of the degenerative project of God Satan.